All right, so here we are. We've got our editor open. I've got my 4 windows here. So in the game engine, and this is true in Source Engine. This is true in Unreal. Most engines I've used, the basic element of it is we call it a brush, and in Source Engine we create those with this thing called the block tool. So if you look over here on your menu, you've got a whole, this is like your toolbox over here. And we've got a whole bunch of buttons. So for today, we're only going to use just a couple of these buttons. We're going to start with this one right here. It's called the block tool. If you hover your mouse over it, it actually says block tool. So if you click on that, it brings us to the block tool. Now, if you watch the menu on this side, this menu is context sensitive. It's kind of neat. When I click on different things, this menu will adjust based on what I'm playing with. So on the block menu, I'm using a primitive, and the shape or object is a block. So this is just your basic block tool, and we're going to use this is what you're going to use for most things, building walls and floors and most of the geometry that goes into the world. So we're going to take this block tool here, okay, block tool. We're going to come in here, and actually before we do this, let's set our measurements. So we're going to go to map, up top, map, units, feet and inches. Okay, so we're going to click map, units, and select feet and inches. So what this is going to do, it's going to allow us to work in feet and inches rather than hammer units, which are like a 0.75 of an inch. So this will let us work in actual real-world dimensions. So 1 foot, 2 feet. And the inches are going to be kind of funky because of the 0.75 of the hammer unit. But nonetheless, this will give us dimensions that we're able to relate to in the real world. So we're going to take our map, units, feet and inches. Then we're going to click block tool. Okay, block tool. I like to start in my top view. I don't know. It's just where I start working from. I'm going to left click, drag, and I'm just going to create a box, not particularly large, and it's going to look like this. Okay, and you can see it in all your different views here. Okay, we'll talk about this one here in a minute, but when I drew this box, I see it here. So this is my top view, this is my side view, and this is my front view. Okay, now how big is it? So we see these hammer units, right? 1536. That means absolutely nothing to me. But if I look down here at the bottom, it says 128 feet width, 138 feet 8 inches length, and 5 feet 4 inches high. So those are the actual dimensions of this object. So if I grab these little handles here, if you watch my dimensions, they're changing. Okay, so let's make this thing, roughly, let's go for maybe like 100 by 100. It doesn't have to be exact, and sometimes you may not be able to get it exact, but let's go about 100 by 100. Okay. All right. So I've got this box. I've drawn it out. I see it in all my viewpoints. We haven't actually created it yet, though. The thing is, you have to hit enter to create it. So when I hit enter, now I've created the brush. Okay, so watch, I'm going to go through that step again. So I'm going to go to my block tool. I'm going to draw out the shape that I want by left click and drag. Okay, the dimensions are down here. So this one's 128 feet by 117 4 inches and 5 feet 4 inches tall. I can adjust it by grabbing the handles, just like in Photoshop or anything like that. Once I have it the way I want it, I have to hit enter to create it. Okay. Now what if I don't like it? What if I decided that this one is not the one that I want? Selection tool. See the little X in the middle? I can click them. All I have to do is press delete and it goes away. Okay. So step number 1, I want you to make a 100 by 100 roughly. Okay, you'll notice mine is 101 by 101. That's just because of the scale of the grid. We'll talk about that later. I want you to make a 100 foot by 100 foot square. This is going to be the ground for us to start with for today. It's not part of your house. This is just demonstration of the tool. Okay, so that's your next step. Block tool, draw the shape. When you have it the way you want it, press enter. That creates the actual brush in the game.